this is not prepared before. Okay. All right, well, get going. This is Park Board meeting, regular meeting as of May 19th. Roll call. Right now, we're missing Mike Weave and Coach Walker. Not sure of their absences right now.
We don't have a quota, do we?
Yeah, we did.
Quotas.
Cameras on.
Okay.
And then, okay, so I'm not sure of the absence yet, so we'll give him a little bit more time. Financial report. Huh? Oh, yeah. Just, so anybody?
If there's no questions, I'll make a recommendation that we accept the financial report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes. They're in the packet.
Looked at this earlier and I didn't see any corrections that we needed to make. If nobody else has had a chance to look at it.
Hey, Rock.
Mhm.
Number 5, approval of the monthly minutes. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Pass. So. All right, move on to citizen participation. Is anyone wishing to speak up? Give us your name and address and
Absolutely. My name is Tanner Mon. I live at 1025 Plum Street. I'm the team leader for the Harris-Galveston County REACT. We are a group of emergency radio operators. We are here to provide services for the city of Lamarck during emergencies as well as planned events. Today, we met with the city manager and members of the Office of Emergency Management to begin our relationship with the city. Our time here with the Parks Board is to provide our services during your planned events for 4th of July, Juneteenth, future events of the city. We've been asked to come before you and discuss our abilities, capabilities for the city of Lamarck. As I said, we are radio operators, non-commercial. We do ham radio, GMRS, general mobile radio service, family radio service, multi-use radio service, and all other forms of radio communications equipment. So we are a boots on the ground type of group. We go out, help with traffic control, parking control, search and rescue, as well as other necessary duties that the city may have for us. At this time, we're working on a memorandum of understanding with the city to be able to provide a a list of things that we're capable of doing for the city, as well as how we can partner best with our citizens here in the city of Lamarck.
I just have one question is, so obviously y'all seem like your specialty is with the radios and such.
Mhm.
Would y'all happen to, I guess, have spare radios per se, that say on these events? BioFest is our biggest,
Mhm.
that y'all could perhaps
Yes,
loan the city, so everybody be on.
absolutely.
Some
We
key
will-
staff members. you know.
Absolutely. We will be assisting with, at the command post,
Mhm.
being able to provide, dispatch our members to wherever they need to go, and we'll be alongside y'all wherever and whenever needed.
I got you. But yeah, like I say, the key
Yes.
thing I'm asking is whether y'all
Yes,
have a spare radio for a staff. member.
yes, we will.
Okay, oh, that'd be great.
Yep. Yep.
Much needed.
Yes. So we're working with the Office of Emergency Management to provide a better service to our citizens.
Great, great. That sounds good.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Yes, and this is my team leader, assistant team leader over Galveston County, Alex Park, who
Okay.
lives here in the city as well.
Uh-huh.
So
Great. It's just, and obviously you.
I'm with the fire department here in the
That's
city.
great.
So-
So yeah, that'll get ready to get used up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're
Yeah,
not
that's a plus. We're excited about that.
good, good. So
As much as thank you. Papa.
we work with communities within Harris and Galveston County. We are working on a partnership with Galveston, the city of Galveston as well. And we're going to continue to build our team. That way we have
Yeah.
as many people, especially during disasters, we'll have enough people to cover all the communities that ask for our assistance.
Great, because I'm, I'd say, man, shaking his shoes, totally agree. We need the help on parking and whatnot at the pipe. And then if this
And
goes
not
live,
stretch our
happens,
other departments thin.
and they, I know for a fact, pass the word on, is the one crawfish again.
Absolutely.
They used to use, what was it called? The CERT, they used to use CERT.
Yep.
For labor and stuff, CERT is, basically said they got too old.
All right. Yeah.
And
So
and they're not participating, so I could pass this info into them if they end up
Mhm.
doing an event again in our town, they're always looking. And from what I understand with them is when they would do CERT and or they end up having to use a out of town school,
mhm,
but whoever helps them,
mhm.
they give them a sizable donation.
Mhm, absolutely. So we are a nonprofit
Mhm.
tax exempt group as well. And we'll be able to work alongside CERT and all the other
Yeah, like I said,
emergency
CERT.
groups that are out there. So
That's great.
we're just another asset that
Okay,
can be
great,
used.
great, that's awesome. Well, keep that in mind, I'm sure, maybe city staff and stuff, they're all
Mhm.
on board with that.
Absolutely.
Great to know.
We're
Glad to have you.
excited.
Good,
Yeah.
good, Yep.
Much needed help.
Yeah.
good. Any other questions?
No, I think that you got it.
Awesome. Appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you guys.
Appreciate you. Be careful going home.
All right. Anyone else on the participation? Amy, you don't want to come and say nothing? All right, so I guess we'll move up. We're going down to 8A. Possible action, discussion, public works update on parks maintenance and parks project past month to current. We just received that.
I just want to say, I've been out to the parks and I'm just giddy.
We're trying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know, it's gonna take some time,
Out of the.
but we're getting the easy stuff out of the way and it's already making the parks look good.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And so we started out with, I believe it was 56 work orders and we're down to 33. So we're making progress.
Amanda, did you say we're down to 30 or 13?
33.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry.
I mean, any of y'all have any questions about this repair list? I think they're doing good on it. Now we actually have a list, what's, actions going.
Was the repair list given at the meeting? I don't have one.
Yes, it was given it, just
Yes.
gave it to us now.
You raising your hand, Mr. Caesar? I'm sorry. Okay, so I think the last thing that you guys were working on when we left was spreading the mulch on the mounds, and I saw that spread out at Walter Feigl. And the thing that we, I guess, kind of tabled because we were gonna get back to it was is safety something? I can never get the word right.
That's next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I mean, you can more or less talk about it, but it's on the next line, next agenda item. We can talk about that.
Okay, no, then we'll wait.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're good with it. We're just trying to get the information to Tanner.
Yes. You can't talk, but you can approach.
One thing that I wanted to say from a staff's perspective, from the communication that I've gotten from them, is they're also appreciative of the fact that we're working as one to try to
Yeah.
address these things. So we want to thank you guys for that. I know you have coming up the painting of the signs. I have to tell you, great job on that. And that's the type of effort that we want to continue to have. Having said that, one of the items I'd like to bring for possible future agenda item, don't know if we have it in time for your next meeting, but was doing a parks inventory of what we have so we can then grade how our facilities are. Good, fair, needs improvement, so then we can address that and prioritize some of those replacement items.
Mhm.
So I can share that. I may not have it in time for your next meeting. We have some other pressing items, but at least in the near future, we can address that. Also moving forward, we want to encourage you all to please continue to be our eyes and ears for all your areas. I don't know if you've talked about dividing all the parks amongst your parks board members to have a few people kind of responsible for being the champions or, spearheading those. And hey, those are my parks. I'm gonna keep an eye on those because that's helpful to keep the communication going. So thank you guys. And
Mhm.
that's just one thing that I wanted to comment for you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
You want to move on and we'll just come back to that A.
Well, I think we at this point, the only updates would be that they completed the mulch from the last meeting, because
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
talking
they were
about-
gonna work
I'm talking
on.
about 8A.
Oh, yeah, I think we're done with 8A.
Well, we are, but they're trying to get the information. to Tanner
Oh,
because she's
okay.
on Zoom. So we'll just,
I can just, if y'all are waiting for me to get it, I can just go over it later and put in my 2 cents. If I feel like I really have to say something about it, I'll reach out to Amanda or Venetia and we'll put it on the agenda next meeting.
sounds good. So any of y'all have any feeling, discussion, or action about it? Nope. Seeing discrepancy? All right, because again, it was just a discussion, so we'll move on to B, which is discussion and action about the safety material at the parks.
So we're working on putting border up at certain locations. I left it to Roy to decide. He's active out in the parks. So I left it to Roy to decide which parts we need to start with. And he chose one on. So we're putting up safety border, and then he already started putting the limestone down. And then the Kid Kush comes next. And so if that's what we're talking about as far as safety material, that's the Kitty Kush that we're talking about.
Okay.
I'm just curious on cost versus, I've seen in other cities,
instead of having that safety material, they got like actually like a rubber matting?
That is extremely expensive,
Okay,
extremely
because
expensive.
you're talking about putting masks on, and that's like a whole nother layer
But,
of cost, and that's what I'm just comparing.
right, so when we talk about limestone is roughly $35, $36 a ton.
Mhm.
Okay, so when we order in bulk, and that's what we're using to fill in these areas, and then we'll pay for the kid push on the side. So it's already coming out of materials that we're already using for city use.
When we were out painting that MLK Park, the swing sets, there, it's so down there that there's cement exposed.
Right, and that's what we're addressing next. So MLK is the next part.
Okay,
Logano was extremely
okay,
bad too,
I got you.
so we're on it. Two guys. so-
Right, no, yeah, they come through the trash that one day we were out at MLK Park.
So do you expect that are you intending to do all of the parks we have listed? Or are you going to do certain ones of them? So all of the ones we have
If
listed,
there's playground,
okay.
If there's playground equipment out there, that's what we're.
that's
going
where
with.
you're going. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that sounds good.
And it's just easier instead of trying to pick and choose, we're doing one park at a time.
Yeah.
Get all the way around.
That makes, yeah, I understand.
MLK.
Because we painting signs, so we understand.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you.
All right, we got that done. 8C, that got handled. Amanda, Public Works, it provided us the paint and materials we needed. And there was a couple other things I had to buy. And at the end, we'll vote for the reimbursement on that. Wasn't much, but we got that at the end. So that worked out good, and we're working at it, chipping away at them. Tanya's got a group meeting this Saturday at West Lawn Park.
And
to paint
Lagana,
that, and
we
Lagana
should have
to paint
both of them done.
And that'll pretty much wrap up all those.
The only one we are not worried about at this time was the one at Mahan Park, and he and I kind of talked about it. We're gonna go and look at it. It may be, just, we can paint it.
Just to extend it, like we're doing these other ones.
Yeah,
Put some
we
paint
may
on
be, we're gonna look at it and see if that's what we can do to get a quick fix on it and keep it consistent with our other parts. Rather than stressing to purchase something new right now.
This Saturday, y'all gonna,
We're gonna finish Lagana and West Lawn.
this Saturday?
Yes. Yes, sir. 8. We're gonna be at Lagana at 8, and then we're gonna be at West Lawn at 10. Yes, you sure?
I was gonna wait till the end of the meeting. We were gonna announce, over your assistant if you're interested. We're having a community food giveaway here at City Hall, starting at 10 o'clock, once the flyers last. Actually, I'm getting a copy of the flyer.
Okay. Okay,
So I don't want to change your plans already. Help us with the word out.
okay,
We have 200 boxes of non-perishable items taken out. We'll fire this out.
I'll call my seniors.
I received the email because I'm on the city alert
and-
deal, and I received the email maybe 4 or 5 this afternoon about it.
So we're pushing the word out.
Mhm.
We also want you to know that we're not limited or have to pick.
Right. All right, so we're good with that. They're really, let's see. Amanda, there's not really a agenda item that can we speak about it because it's still in reference to the signs about the,
This,
yeah,
Yes, so
because we forgot it last time.
the signs that are attached, that is something that our KLB worked
Right.
to do the sign replacements.
Okay.
Street ID sign replacements throughout the city. That was her and I collabing on that, and that's what we came up with. Now, when she sent it out to a couple of companies for quotes, almost all the quotes came back the same. So I think roughly for 63 signs, it was over $2,000. So we have thousands of signs throughout the city. It's well over 1,000. that I'm aware of.
Correct.
So what I'm proposing, something that we're looking at is to save the city money. Why don't we look at purchasing in-house equipment that we can make our own signs? And it wouldn't just be street ID signs. It would be traffic signs, specialty signs for buildings, for parks, whatever we need.
Is there a
So-
certain amount that each area would be responsible for, or?
What do you mean?
For instance, if you give us have you checked on this equipment yet?
Yes. So the equipment, the software, the rolling table, just to get it started, and the computer, we're looking at $21,000. So 21,000, where we could stretch and make all these materials, just imagine 21,000, how fast would we spend that on just having street signs made?
Amanda, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I didn't get the finance report. I just realized that too. Not a big deal. If one, you could tell me where our budget is for that, and then two, maybe I cut you off, and if I did, I apologize. When you are looking at purchasing the machine,
When do we look at purchasing it?
yeah, if that's the route we went.
So it's to be discussed, because what we're asking is that it's a 3-part system. So Public Works pay for a portion of it, Parks Board pay for a portion of it, KLB pay for a portion of it. So
Right.
department, I don't have the answer for that off the top of my head, but it's in discussion. If we can agree to it and everybody can see eye to eye, then we can discuss how soon we want to put this into effect and start purchasing this equipment.
So,
Okay. And what, can you tell me where we're at with our budget? With our finances?
that's down a little ways.
Yeah.
What's that, to say how much we have? Go put that back, please.
Yeah, 30. we
It's
had-
not, how much, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Put it back. I'm in a meeting. How much do we have?
We have 30,000 that was awarded to us by the council, and we haven't spent none of it yet. That's-
No, in our regular budget for finances?
It shows $57,518.
Thank you.
that's-
Yeah, she was asking, she didn't get the financial report, so she was asking.
I don't consider that a budget. I mean, but, all right, so
So Taylor, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
D, discussion about the shirts and hats.
The order's been placed,
Okay,
so I think y'all make it.
Yeah.
To go ahead and purchase it, the order's been placed, so they're on order.
We just need the copy of the
I
invoice,
thought we gave that to y'all during the last meeting. We did.
the one before.
It was the quote. We don't have
that was a
it.
quote.
Yeah, no, we
Oh.
won't get the invoice.
Oh,
until
that
the
was a
items
quote?
come in.
Okay.
Right. We won't get the invoice until the actual items come in.
Okay,
And then when they come in, we'll see that.
can you, what was the amount of the quote?
It was a little over 1,000. I just had it pulled up too.
Right.
No, that's for the signs, yeah.
Yeah, no. Bear with me, guys.
You're okay.
It was in March meeting.
Yeah,
Okay, so $10,221.84.
thank you, ma'am.
Amanda, last year when they issued the shirts, the new shirts, I turned mine back in because of the sizes, and they never been replaced. I don't need to replace them. I'll just get the ones that, the current ones.
Okay.
So we should get a refund on the two that I turned back.
Not when they're
No.
embroidered.
No, because once you get them, you can't return them.
Yeah, especially when they're
So
embroidered.
they're, so
She
what they're
said
doing is they're
refund.
sitting in a box. Somewhere at Public Works, I'm sure.
Okay.
Wait.
Or it's been adopted.
Huh?
It may have been adopted already.
No, I'm pretty sure they're sitting in a box at Public Works waiting for a new park board member that can wear it when that's out. Not saying we're placing anybody. Just saying.
Miss Amanda,
Yes, sir.
just make sure y'all spell my name right.
WEB?
No, the Michel. There's no A in my first name.
Oh,
What they been
Corrected
calling you?
somebody over
Is
there.
it, how do you, is it Michael?
It's Michael. My whole first name is Michelangelo. I'm a Ninja Turtle.
Oh, I was gonna say an artist.
I am an artist.
As long as they don't call you Michelle, you doing all right.
I have a sister named Michelle. I used to get her bills and stuff till I put a stop
I
to
will
that.
double check to make sure that
It's spelled.
that is correct.
Thank you, man.
okay. All right, so we're good with that.
And I
We'll move-
apologize to everybody for my cardigans.
we'll Move on to old business 8E. And this is kind of discussion and or we're asking for leadership about pros, the possibility of creating a parks department, which be your 2 employees. Because understanding is if we create a. parks
We changed
department,
it to division, didn't we? Not department. We changed it to Parks Division.
Okay, so I have a question since I missed the last meeting and that's when this came up. Can somebody just summarize this for me? Where the line of thinking is, who recommended it?
If you're looking at the video, city manager is here to speak on it.
Sure.
Good evening, Ms. Smith and members of the board
Hi.
again. The idea with this was the fact that the city right now in our charter does not have a designation of a parks department. There's several mentions of it in our code as if we had one, but presently we do not have an official parks department listed in our code.
And we did have one at one time.
And apparently one did occur at one time. So whenever it was removed, essentially was never re-added. So this is the formal process in order to do so. First, introducing that during your charter review, which happens to be going on right now. The most opportune time. I believe that item, based on our last discussion, was already taken to charter review for consideration. And they will come and bring that as one of their items when they get to that section. So that's where it is at this point now, assuming that you still would like that to happen. And the idea behind it, why it was recommended from staff internally, a lot of the federal grants that we apply for now that we have a adopted conceptual master plan, when we go to apply for some of these grant fundings, not so much the foundation ones, but more the federal funds, points are given to certain ones that have an actual parks, division department that is officially stated. The only way to officially have one is to have one in your charter. So this was more of an administrative issue or a way of addressing that. So hopefully when we start applying for some more of these federal grants, when they come available for parks, that will have a more competitive advantage to get as many points as possible. There's certain fixed points that are given. This is more the fixed column. And basically is, do you have a parks department? Okay, check. Do you then have like an org chart for that parks department? Then check. And what we would do, we would reorganize the public works. It would still report under public works, but it would be its own separate division that we would have an org chart. And in theory, it probably should be that way anyways. And in history, for budget reasons, it has not been that way for the past few years since the last was.
I'm sorry. I might have missed it. Did you say how the parks department and the parks board would work together? I thought I heard you say that they would still check in with public works, but how would it work to have the parks department and the parks board?
I would see no difference with how you guys would have that relationship. It's more of essentially keeping it how it is now, but just having a formal parks division or parks department in
People
that
that
sense.
specifically
Right.
work.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which-
Yeah,
which
I'm
is
just
currently
asking
right now.
I'm just trying to play catch up because apparently there was so much that I missed last meeting.
It was a very long but very productive meeting, yes.
Yeah.
But along that end, to answer that specific question, there's no intended different approach expected for there to be between the Parks Board and the city in any capacity. It would just be more of a formal introduction of the Parks Department, so we could separate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Future, you
The
know,
other thing we wanted to do was do line items for the Parks Board so we can effectively see what hours, what we're spending in parks. So when we intend to do a state of the parks on an annual basis, so we want to have as much information to give to the public as possible. So that helps.
and essentially, historically, we've had, I believe, one parks staff member essentially assigned to parks. We now have increased that to 2, which is why you're seeing so much more of this work that's getting accomplished little by little. And it's about also properly annotating those hours. So now those folks' salary will be almost in a separate account number to do that. So we're going to deduct the public works account by a certain amount to just create another division. We're not adding any money at this time. I do know you made the request and recommendation for the council to consider that during budget workshop, and you said you would come back to them at that time, which obviously as a board, you're free to do so. But that's where we stand as of right this moment.
So I guess, like I say, this is just a discussion, but again, so formally, the Parks Department, Parks Board has already requested city council, and it's been passed through the charter review. So at this point, there's no other action needed on our side.
Correct.
None right now. The only thing is that maybe at the time that it comes up during charter review, maybe keep an eye on that agenda. Maybe being present, should any questions be asked of that as to why they're having it or whatever the case is. I mean, I'll also be there to present, but having the voice of the Parks Board would also help that, as we noticed from previous meetings on how
As
that
long
was
as, I
affected.
mean, I'll be glad to attend as long as I'm notified when this date is.
Right, yeah,
send it to you.
and basically it's a moving target with the charter as it is right now. They've had a pretty structured meeting where they've had the first 3 meetings. But now at this point, now they get into the item that they pulled. So it'd be hard to tell what departments are going to be addressed in what time frame.
Okay.
So normally there'll be an address thing, we're going to address items 1, 2, and 3. It's just finding out where our item will fall. If it's going to be down 7, 8, 9, or 10, 11, 12, then we'll know what date that is. And hopefully we can gauge that way.
Okay. Sounds great.
Tamara, this was
Yes.
basic housekeeping item to help Amanda and Rick and the Public Works Department. That's why it was brought back up.
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with it. I was just trying to understand the conversation from the last meeting.
Yes, ma'am. No, I understand.
Yeah.
that. I'm just clarifying for you. It was because, like I said a minute ago, and you may not have heard me say it,
I didn't.
there was a Parks Department. And I'm talking 15, probably more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And at one time, I want to say there were 6 or 8 employees in that.
Okay.
So, like Mr. Garcia said, it's going to help them when they do their budget and everything. It's going to help us when we go to ask for something to be done. We know exactly who we're dealing with. And it's going to help
Right.
Amanda and Rick from a public works standpoint.
Right. And I got that. I appreciate the clarification, Mike.
You're welcome.
And then for us, from a fiscal standpoint, it'll help us when we go try to be competitive with these grants.
Exactly.
And also
That's-
for sponsorship reasons, for whatever if you will, to do that.
And that's a big point.
So,
Now that we have a master plan or something, a conceptual master plan.
yeah. All right, well, that's what we need to know on that, how far it went along. All right, we'll move on to new business. I don't know why this is in here, but anyway, discuss possible action about Greg Cornett's replacement. That doesn't fall on us, but I have spoke to the mayor and the councilman whose district that involves, because there was a little snafu on that. And because he was nominated through Greg Cornett, but on the city's website right now, they show the vacancy being under the mayor. And Mike Lee being nominated through Mr. Carlson. So I clarified that. I just got an email back from him today, and he said he was reached out and he was just notified that somebody turned in an application at City Hall. And so I guess he would be perhaps reviewing it.
When did
Next-
you hear from him about that?
When did I hear what?
About the application?
Today in the email?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because on the city website,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
got all that part. I just didn't catch the part on when you spoke to him about that
I
application.
sent him
That's
an
it.
email, him and the mayor email explaining the mix up, which.
Yeah, I caught that.
And so he emailed me back and said he just heard there was somebody applying for the position and got confirmation today, I guess from Kiera's office, that they have received the application.
Yeah.
So I didn't ask who the person is or name, so.
Okay.
Certainly, and as a standing item that we have on our council agenda each month is for appointments. Or any information that has to do with our board. So the next time that could be officially heard would be during our next regular
Yes,
council
correct.
agenda, which would be the second
Correct.
Monday in June.
So I guess we'll go to 9D, Public Works Maintenance Law, prioritizing the maintenance needs of city park.
Do you have an extra one, Amanda? Of the
These?
printout? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
And Amanda, you may not have what we're looking at now. It's two of
Oh, there's two.
them. Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tamara. You may not have what we're looking at now as well.
Yes, you won't.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
Okay.
The only attachments I have are the sign memorandum, a picture of the signs, and a quote for the signs and the yard display thing, we'll call it. That's all I have.
What we asked Amanda to provide to us at the last meeting was to give us a list of any pending maintenance items that we still need from the request trackers that we did. And she has provided that to us with amounts on them. And what we're supposed to do as a board is review this and prioritize which items we think need to be worked on now and determine whether or not how much of our $30,000 we're gonna use for this.
Okay,
And
well,
so
are-
I think it's gonna take us longer than this meeting to do this.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say it,
I'll
then
look at
it,
it.
Yeah.
And then come back at our next meeting with, and I'm sorry, Mike. With this. But this is what we asked for at our last meeting. That's why I'm trying to explain it. And yeah.
So let me just explain real quick that there's not that much equipment out there in each park.
Okay.
So if we're prioritizing, I think we need to start at the parks that have the least amount of equipment to play on.
Okay.
But we've also been looking at alternatives that, again, Caesar brought up the idea of, using old stuff, a tire, stuff like that, just to bring life to the parks. And that's something that we've got an abundance of at our city yards, tires. And Venetia and I have found so many things that we can use these tires for, that would be for the kids to play on. And I'll share the ideas with you on the next go around.
Okay.
But it also takes away from spending the amount of money on playground equipment too.
That might get changed.
Right, but I can prioritize and give a list and show you where we need to spend the money the most on what we need to spend it on. But this is what we can do for now. In the meantime.
Well, a couple of things that we noticed when we were out painting the parks. Now that you've gotten rid of those two swings, there are no swings for the babies. And so we were thinking that what we could do is either purchase some baby swings and just insert them there.
Yes.
That way all of the kids are able to swing. And at one of the playgrounds at MLK, there's a section where it's like a tic-tac-toe sensory. The whole thing can just be pulled out. Because some of them are still broken and rusted. I haven't reported that one. But that can just be taken out and the playground it might need to be power washed, but for the most part, that section needs to be taken out. And once the mulch is in, everything is back up to speed, at least at MLK.
So let me ask you a question. Does it need to be taken out or can it be refurbished?
When you say what?
For
Oh,
the-
that
Sorry, kick
sensory
that
is,
toe.
that is, one of them is already gone.
Okay.
And then the second one is just broken off and hanging on.
Okay,
And when I looked at it, it has screws at the bottom where you can just remove that section, that entire section. So,
all right.
and then that'll be safe, but it needs to be power washed. It's got a lot of that stuff all on it. But once we put that mulch in and maybe take that section out and replace the swings, we got the signs painted. The only other things that I think that is something that we should look at are the park benches.
So yes, there's a lot of them that are rusted. What we discussed was, can we go through in the rusted areas and apply some JB weld and then go back and smooth it out and then repaint? So if we powder coat, if we look at powder coating, some of that is concreted into the ground. So it's gonna cost a little bit if they're gonna come out and powder coat on site. And so that's another cost that we're looking into right now versus us painting it. It definitely would be cheaper if we just painted it, but we're just gonna compare quotes just to see where we're at. Let's see how possible it would be for them to come out and take a look at these benches. Some of the benches, they're gonna have to be replaced.
Yeah,
There's too many spots, too many rust spots. Just- it's- The whole bench will be JB welded. So
mhm.
we're definitely things that we're looking into. It's on the list.
Okay, I had a question about this, the log and prioritizing.
Because we're prioritizing part by part. So the list that Roy's working on,
Mhm.
it's gonna be MLK prioritizing the bench, the tic-tac-toe stick. So that's how he's going. He's going for each part, making a list for each thing.
Okay, I got you. Because I was confused. I thought she was talking about us reviewing this and when I was gonna get at.
Well, I
this.
said to table
don't
that,
really-
'cause it's,
This
yeah,
don't really say that. It just says,
No, it just
It don't
shows
say
the
what's
amount.
in it.
So the spreadsheet is a report that reflects the spreadsheet. So that shows you what's active, what's not active. Okay, what's been completed. So all that is, we ask for my gov report. It's not showing up the way we would normally present it to you guys. I'm gonna have to call SCW because now the report that I presented to y'all the last time, I can't even get that now. So I don't know. if
this
it's
is the one
SCW
she's talking
error.
about. This is what we
Yes.
got last time.
oh. last
She
time,
emailed
okay.
it. You can go ahead.
Okay,
So I don't know if it's an SCW error, but we will make that phone call tomorrow and see because I worked on the module all day today and didn't get nowhere with it.
so those
That's the updated.
updated ones, you
Yes.
have multiple copies that we can have?
right
Okay,
there.
great,
Yes. Sorry, they weren't included in the packet.
yeah.
That's not sorry. We've had 2 weeks to get everything together since the last meeting. We're rushing.
So 9C, it refers to having a park board workshop in June to discuss standards and recommendations and events and stuff. Mike,
Yes.
I'm gonna,
you're
can I
the-
ask for clarification on this? On what, like, when we say workshop, are we talking about we go to City Hall and we,
It's a
How-
retreat. We're not using the word workshop.
okay, well, retreat, are we going somewhere else? Are we meeting at City Hall? What's I mean, if you could fill me in from the last meeting on what's going on with this. too.
Last meeting, we decided we would do it here.
Yeah. It's,
Okay,
sit down, kind of, I guess it's less informal, but we can go over everything. Just current items or future items, what we would perhaps like to present to council in their summer budget workshops. moving
okay, so
forward.
kind of mimicking what KLMB does and just getting a calendar together and then submitting it and then running off of that calendar and just kind of checking in every month and just approving as we go. Right, Amanda?
I would say so.
I guess, I don't know what they do, but
That's for you guys to decide.
that's what we're gonna decide in June, so it's just basically
Gotcha.
coming up with a date and a time. That would be good for everybody.
Well, June 28th is my birthday and I love you all, but I don't want to spend my birthday doing that. So June 28th is the day I'm not available.
So Mike, you are still a working man.
I just need to know what's agreeable to everybody, and then I can put in for it to be off that day. Just as long as I've got at least a week, 2 weeks to notify them. So,
I mean, like, would y'all have an issue with like, say, 3 in the afternoon or something like that? Oh, yeah.
So I don't have a problem.
Excuse me, do we need to make a motion on any of these items that we just discussed?
No, because we weren't taking no action.
This discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. What items?
We're now to 9C.
Okay, 9C.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so not the 28th. So
Mike, what's in? You got a preference in June?
at this point in time, no, sir. I'm
wanna
open
take
to
a-
whatever date. I mean, I can look at the calendar and throw one out there.
well, our regular meeting is on the 16th of June.
Yeah.
So are we gonna want to do it before the regular meeting? So that way we can,
Come with me.
I would think
How
so.
you feel about that?
Yeah.
Both
I mean, that makes the most sense.
on this meeting, say,
Before the
2
June.
hours before the regular Parks Board meeting next month on June 16th.
That work.
We're
Okay.
doing it the same day.
Yes.
Yeah, June 16th at
Before.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, and then we could go in our regular scheduled Parks Board.
Yeah.
We feeling so comfortable.
4 o'clock, right?
Okay,
So, Tamara, you good with June 16th at 4 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we'll take action on this one.
Yep.
So who wants to?
I make a motion. Go
I'll
ahead.
second it.
All right. All in
June
favor?
16th, 4 o'clock.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? So we'll have our next, well, I have a budget or workshop meeting per se.
Retreat or workshop?
Retreat. It's a
I
retreat.
don't know if the verbiage makes a difference, but we're gonna meet. And June 16th at 4, 2 hours before our park board. All right, moving along. So now we'll go to 9D. And that's the information we got in our packets about this graduation signage.
Sign memorandum?
Oh,
What's that?
this from her about we talked about it with the other
Oh.
thing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So she's gonna go back and get on
The
whatever
cost.
the machine is and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was just a discussion, right? No, we
Oh,
didn't.
I'll run them all
Yes,
together.
We're discussing prices, to see if we're interested in going that route.
Now,
Okay.
let me just throw this out there, since obviously the city would have more skin in the game with more signs, would say 25, 25, 50 split sound reasonable? Okay, I mean, it's not that we're gonna take this any, whatever you call it, action on, I'm just
Right,
asking you what you felt.
I don't have a problem with that. but if
Okay.
That is something that I'd have to run up the ladder
Mhm.
and. look at that.
Sounds good.
Don't run it.
So basically, we're gonna move on from that because we'd already talked about the sign memorandum earlier. Okay, next. So Public Works purchase. 9E is what we just
Yeah.
discussed also
Mhm,
about.
mhm.
Amanda's gonna check in on the cost of purchasing equipment to do the signage in-house. So we'll go with that. Okay, 9F, you seen the stuff in the packet with the pictures and the pricing, discuss action or that we're being requested. Parks Board to purchase graduation signs out of Highland Valley Park for graduates of all ages and areas can use as photo op.
Yeah.
9F, no, we're on 9F now. 9E and 9D were pretty much the same.
Oh, yeah, 9F.
9F.
Yes. So this was an item that was posed internally that we had some discussion on. So obviously, maybe this is something that's going to be tabled for next year because of how close we are. But again, we'll allow you to decide and discuss that. The thought process is as graduating, either seniors from high school, anybody graduating college, even people that were graduating kindergarten, they were graduating from elementary going to middle school and high school, whatever it would be, that should they want to go to a facility to go take graduation pictures, this would be kind of piggybacking off of the popularity of these yard signs, if you will. The idea would be to have some yard signs out there so that folks could, have a place to go take some of their pictures. In doing so, it may be too little too late. I'm not really sure. It's your decision to make because of where we are in the year. But nonetheless, the idea is to create an ambiance of somewhere where folks could come and take pictures. And it would hopefully increase membership to the parks and have something else for them to do when they visited. No different than if you were going to have a statue or anything else that you would have that would temporarily rotate amongst parks, whatever the case was. That was the idea, the concept of this, to try to increase visitorship and have something else to do. That not only residents of Lamarck, but even anybody else that would want to come, it would be something else they could do while they were there. Being that Highland Bayou Park is currently our most picturesque park, arguably, that might be a good location to take some of these pictures. The idea was to do something in that nature. If you want to go this direction, it's pretty quick turnaround. The pricing that you see roughly, and I'll do use rough math, it costs about $500 for 2 weeks if you choose to rent them. Maybe want to table this for next year and maybe look at purchasing something like this, or maybe someone's got any craftsmanship, woodworkship, you want to create something that is showcased. The idea, the concept was to get some way to commemorate graduates each year, make this kind of a rites of passage. Hey, listen, let's go to Highland Bayou Park, take our graduation pictures, if you will. Basically creating a more scenic background possible, which would be probably the actual bayou itself. It was an item for consideration to do something nice, different, doesn't cost a whole lot of money to get folks excited about coming to the parks for a different reason than just for an event, or to go visit, to go fishing, or to go to the playground, whatever it would be. So this is a decision for your consideration. Again, if you choose to table it, whatever the case was, we want to bring this up as a possible discussion item. If you choose something like this, what's shown, it's about $500 and it's up for 2 weeks. But maybe we don't want to do that. Instead, we want to build one or look to purchase these items from this company to use them from year after year. Then we talk about storage, where they're going to be stored, and so on and so forth. We got to store it for arguably 11 months out of a year. So keep that in consideration, whatever decision you make. But the idea is to create some type of signage where folks can go take a picture and commemorate their graduation at whatever level they're choosing to do.
I would just like to say, I have used the vendor that is being quoted from my own personal. I do love her work. My only concern about this is what would happen if, for whatever reason, her signs were damaged due to weather or due to vandalism. The liability with that, who would we pay to have those replaced, or would the city do it? Other than that, I think this is really cool. I wouldn't have a problem if we maybe did a test run this year for a couple of weeks. And just, I mean, I guess the only other I don't want to say concern isn't the right word, but obstacle to kind of figure out would be, are we going to do it for Lamarck kids and kind of gear the design concept for Lamarck kids, or is it going to be the Texas City, because now they have that weird blue and orange color, or is that the concept we're going with? I guess we need to figure that out if we're gonna move forward. I don't have a problem moving forward with this. I know, like I said, I know her signs, they're beautiful. She's really great to work with. I know her costs are really fair, so I know I trust this, this item, this quote. But I think if maybe we did this for 2 weeks, see how it went, and then maybe plan on, if we get those fancy sign machines, make our own signs
Right.
and store them, and then they're sturdier. They're gonna last longer. They can hold up to more. So I think I'm for it. If we can just figure out design concept and what happens if there is any damage done to her signs, because she's a small business, she's local to Lamarck, and I would hate for us doing this, or her doing this for the city and the Parks Board, for her inventory to be messed up. So
Is
Certainly.
this a Parks Board project or a city project? That's just
Well,
one of my questions.
Certainly. Well, right now we don't have a budget for something like this. It was more of considering it, and really in our theme of One Lamarck,
Okay.
it would be a united project, no different than the food giveaway we're doing. It's a Lamarck project.
Okay.
So in the sense, there's no real thing as to whose it would be, in my opinion, as we stand right now. However, having said that, to kind of answer kind of twofold the question posed by a board member Smith. First, our proposed sign machine that we're using would not be something that would look like this. Our signs would be more metal for street signage, park signage, location designations, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It wouldn't do something like this. We're talking about something completely different. One, I was thinking more of maybe if somebody's crafty enough, woodmanship enough, that we want to create these and make that be an assignment of either a combination between Keep Lamarck Beautiful and Parks Board as a united effort to do. And maybe we rotate the location each year. I'm not really sure. The idea that was posed was for us to do something like this as a kind of come together, let's do something at a certain location. And to answer your question about what color scheme or anything to do, the idea was to make it available to anybody regardless of schools. As you may be aware, we have students who attend Santa Fe, Dickinson, Hitchcock, Lamarck, Texas City. So we have a lot of different students that attend different ones. So we wanted to keep it more generic, if you will, to not any one designation, so anybody could come from regardless of what school they were at.
I would be for this if we were purchasing this outright. Cause it's a lot of money, and I've, also worked with Missy before. She does great work, and that is an option. And so if this is something that y'all plan on doing every year, then we would need to own whatever it is we're getting ready to purchase. That's just my opinion, and I love this idea.
So I just want to jump in on this real quick. Caesar was also onto a great idea, and if this is not something that y'all want to look into, why not purchase a couple of backdrops off of Amazon and pick apart, and a couple of props that we will own. We'll own the backdrops, we'll own the props, and then invite the kids to come out there and utilize whatever we purchase, that background of those props, and take their pictures. It's the cheaper alternative.
Right.
So,
One, I don't really, as far as keeping us out and having somebody, oversee it, security and whatnot, I would prefer this to be done over here at Fagel Park and not at Howell Park. That's just my input on that. But for instance, EDC's got step and repeat. They got the framework. So can't be done in a week, graduation next week. But we can always get a backdrop ordered, and they're like the one I deal with the other business I have is like $100 for a 8x8.
Well, and also to that extent, the idea was, I think, to highlight the park, to use the park itself as the backdrop. It was more of the signage to commemorate the graduation. But you really want to expose, no matter what we purchase, how much money we spend, there's nothing that's going to take away from the beauty of that park when you're taking that picture. So the idea was to commemorate the park
Yeah.
So the backdrop ideas are wonderful.
Yeah.
In this sense, it was more of kind of a title to be down there when somebody, does that in that extent to the scenery, to the extent of the greenery, however they would take it. No different than how photographers will go to different parks to take
Well,
graduation
that's exactly
pictures.
what I'm getting at. So a lot of times when they take senior pictures, prom pictures, they're dressed up nice. I guess I don't really see the correlation with Hannibal Park versus Vigo Park, because you got a gazebo right there.
Oh, no, and no, and no
And
different. I completely
would-
agree.
To me, it would take nicer photos.
I think if I
Completely
may,
agree.
if I can interject on the backdrop and all the extra stuff, I think that's something we could probably talk about at the retreat that we're going to have next month and kind of get into a bigger thing. And I think it might be more, if I guess conducive to this conversation, if we kind of focus on if we're gonna get the sign from Misty or not. I think we should for a couple of weeks. I don't think we should get it for the full month because like I said, my biggest concern is the plan of action if there's damage. But I think this would be a great test run to see if that's something, if/when we get the sign machine, that's something we could look into when we have that. That's my 2 cents.
The old guy getting up here. One of the things I ask you to do as a parks board is we need consistency. You're going to start a project and yet we change, right? We change on council, we change. And if that's one thing that I hear on council is we're not consistent. And so great idea. You recognize the achievements of young people, especially in our district, in our city. We're all Lamarck proud in that sense. Another Lamarck proud graduate. But have a plan, show a vision. How are you going to maintain this? That's all I ask you.
Oh, I agree.
Thank you, Joe.
So what do y'all feel? Do you want to go 2-week time period? Or just
I'm
table
for
the
the
whole
2
thing?
weeks. I'm for the 2 weeks.
I think we need to table it and discuss it, like Tamara said at the retreat. And like Mr. Compion suggested, let's have a solid plan in place moving forward, because that's one of
Well,
my pet peeves right now with all of us is we keep talking about stuff, but we're not doing anything.
well, Mike, if I could just kind of interject and clarify, I was saying we should table the bigger idea of backdrops and props and all of that. I'm saying I would like to move forward with this vendor and the yard sign idea. I would like for us to move forward at this meeting with that idea, and then at the retreat, talk about all the extra stuff. If that helps kind of clarify where I'm coming from.
And that's why I was asking was
So,
it
yeah, so-
ours or the cities? That's why I was asking,
This
so
is the
we'll
city
know
that
what
put
we
the-
need to do. I'm not just gonna take it and run with it if it belongs to somebody else.
And Joe, to clarify, the city staff requested this agenda.
Mhm.
May I just say, I personally am not the best at taking pictures.
Okay,
So folks have used these type of props and stuff before. The concept we had with either this or something else,
Mhm.
with the understanding that whatever park we locate, so for example, that's how I go.
Yeah.
Here at the library, by all means, the idea was to have something
Yes.
to commemorate if you choose to do so. But I'm also okay with us tabling it and not doing it. No, it was just more of a concept. This was more of a sample of the concept, but I'm also with somebody's crafty. Let's do one of these each
Well,
year.
and the other thing, Mr. Garcia and everybody else has to remember is graduation is basically 2
away.
weeks away.
A week.
A week away in
Next
some
Saturday.
aspects. The other thing is what the school district is doing, what the parents themselves are doing. I know several parents that are throwing
Yeah.
parties for their kids and have backdrops. They've
Yeah.
contacted Misty about signage and stuff like that. So
It may be too little too late.
Yes, sir. I mean, if we would have talked about this back in February or something,
Correct.
maybe. And I know Misty's work too. She does fantastic work. She does, I haven't personally used her, but I've seen people that have. So it's not a knock against Misty at all.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't want to put her under the gun that, like you said, what happens if something does get damaged?
All right, so basically we're at this situation. I guess we have to kind of take a poll before we take action. We know where Tanya and Tamara stand. Do you want to pay for the 2 weeks or table it all together?
I want to at least table it until we have our retreat.
We can
discuss it
table
more, but by then.
How do you feel?
Graduation's
I got
over.
you.
so-
How
If
do you
we're gonna
feel?
do it next year, we'll come up with the plan.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I'm off the table simply because it's just a week. Like I said, it's too-
Okay.
It's too close.
How do you feel? Sorry, brother. Okay, so go with the table situation
It's
too,
all
because I
table.
think it's too late, so
Table it to next
we'll
month.
just, the action is
To
to
our
table it.
retreat. For our
Do you
retreat.
wanna,
Okay, I make a motion to table this for and discuss it at our retreat.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So, all right, moving on to the big kahuna. Discussion about, we have $30,000 that was for our budget this year from city council. We haven't spent a dime of it. There's we need to spend it soon. It's one of the things, you use it or lose it. So
I think we should table it for the retreat. We're not gonna have enough time unless we're talking about ideas now.
well, one of the things that we can bring up is have to ask point blank. Caesar, do you know how well the 4th of July events being financed? Is there any sponsors?
We have to move forward that we recently, as of this week, we received a commitment from the EDC to help for this first year with a $5,000.
All right,
So that's all we have to date, but we still have some other deals out there. That's all I can confirm.
yes.
This happened Tuesday.
Because what I was gonna bring up is, so also, I guess we can discuss with Susie, is prior to, for you coming here, when we were in the discussions with the about making repairs to Mayhem Park. Okay, Susie had told us there was $50,000. She told council there's $50,000 in the youth initiative. Okay, now with that being said, y'all have earmarked 25,000 of that to the intern program. So by my calculation, there's 25,000 left. And this was information she gave us, I believe, back in March.
And this is separate from the 30,000.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to spend it all, but so this 4th of July event is dragging out real slow.
If I could just interrupt real quick, Amanda, there's or Venetia, Alana Brown is trying to get in on the Zoom and she's saying it's not letting her come in. That's it. That's the only interjection I had.
So what I was getting at is glad that he said EDC is helping, but between the possible youth initiative funds or us utilizing some of our budget money or the discretion money we have in this other account. There's some things we want to do at this festival that strictly for the kids. I've got hard figures, $600 for the kids fish, which is what we do for the Bio Fest. You know, it's feeding hot dogs and some little awards, gift cards or fishing rods, $600. But And we looked into something to replace what we do at the BioFest, which is pumpkin carving. I found you can buy the kites that can be decorative. And say we buy 200 kites, the kite place out of Galveston, who I initially consulted with, they would sell them for $10. And my whole gist of that is going through them is they were going to volunteer to come out. I don't know if you've ever been to West End Island. They were going to come out and do a kite display where they put them big kites up and just let them fly. And then same time, we would get somebody to oversee the kids part of that. But that's, you know, we're looking like $2,000. Another thing would be again, to deal with kids, because we're gonna have a Old Smoky cook-off in conjunction with it. That's what we're planning anyway. And I've always wanted to incorporate it to BioFest, but we just keep getting knocked out of the space and the space is not available. But it's to do with kids cube. They're really popular. And I was the figure was between 40, the initial cost would be between $40 and $50 per kid. Say we limit it to 40 kids. That's initial cost that you're paying for Old Smoky that to work out with the city staff is you're buying that, but we can reuse it every year. You know, but the initial cost is kind of high, but then we, you know, you're not paying that $28 for Old Smoky after that. We got that, we just got to get it stored. And they're real popular in all these cook-offs I do. I mean, they have to set a limit and they have to stop it at that limit because they always have more than enough kids. And that was just something that we could, you know, kind of putting it out there because it's kind of struggling to get that. It's actually would be July 2nd, that event going. And one of the main issues was sponsorship money.
Caesar, you said that EDC's committed 5,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
What I want to make a motion that we match that for whatever way, shape,
Is
or
that gonna
form that
help?
we need.
Oh,
to do
that
that.
definitely helped.
Okay.
If I may, just so for those that were at the meeting, I know much about you weren't, but Ms. Tanya was, when we discussed that, we're basically planning the event with as many activities that will hopefully not cost a lot. We started off with a 3-day event and we said we'll plan it as how funding allows us to. So right now we have, you know, some type of seed money towards that. Obviously, any amount that the Parks Board would give would be greatly appreciated towards that. There's other things that we're looking to add to the event that include, you know, a stage, maybe performances, anything to that extent, to not go too late in the evening because we right now would not afford a fireworks show. So those are the things that we're tabling instead of making a 3-day event. For example, Mr. Bach, something that he brought up was maybe putting a festival out there or a carnival out there for the whole 4-day weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Mhm.
Well, by putting some type of setting out there with the proper lighting, that we're already set up to do what we're doing. Community, we could go out there and use these, you know, these facilities, and technically we don't have to pay for something like that. So we're looking for as many amenities that we could add. One thing I would say about the kite situation is I would not guarantee a certain amount. I would probably say a minimum. But the better they go out there and sell themselves, all right, how many kites did you sell? Well, then this is how much we owe you type thing. Instead of just going ahead and buying 200 kites or 100 kites, I guess for $10, whatever the number was, then we have to worry about storage. Similar to the Smokies, I think, again, a great idea. Question becomes is where are we going to store these items afterwards? So please take all of that in consideration as we're, because we are, as we're planning the event, and we've had a meeting, we're going to have another one here soon. The idea is to plan this event. It's the first time we've had it. We see where it's going to grow into a 2, 3, 4-day event as we keep going. But just like BioFest didn't become this massive event in one day in 1 year, we've talked about from parade to step show to arts and crafts to possibly having the library do some things. I mean, you name it. So many moving parts. We're even adding a 5K possibly to the event to commemorate like a superhero 5K to commemorate some of the fallen folks. The first year would be for some of the fallen folks that have passed from COVID that used to be city employees. A lot of different ways of commemorating the 4th of July and what it stands for. without a fireworks show. The idea is the extent is to hopefully add a fireworks show in the future, to add a concert, to
Baby
add
steps.
baby
Yeah.
steps to
Yeah.
get there. So whatever you do provide in that sense would be great. As far as the first question with the 50,000, I'll have to get back to you to clarify that. My understanding was it was 25 and all 25 was allotted towards the internship program, but I may
Yes.
be incorrect.
Correct.
So you're saying 50 versus 25 and that's where we're at. I'll have to come back.
What I was saying, when we were discussing about, we were trying to pool money together to fast track the Mahan part. The mayor actually thought we had 75,000. Susie came on and corrected me and said, no, Tink used 25 for kids fish.
Got it.
Well, there's some little issue right there
Sure.
amongst itself. Okay, now with that being said, that was, so.
So
she
then the number
told
dropped to
council-
50.
She told counselors, you have 50,000,
Okay.
okay?
Of that
And
you
so
said.
with that being said, of that 50, y'all are utilizing 25
For
for the kid,
intern.
the intern.
Right.
So by all accounts, unless staff has
Right.
approved money to be spent on something else, there's 25,000 still available.
Right.
And,
And-
but again,
and-
that's
and-
earmarked for what I refer to as kids initiatives. Some of these activities I'm talking about funding, I'm talking about for the kids.
In
The fish and all
addition
that.
to the potential
Yeah,
25
I'm
that
not
may
talking
still be
about
there.
using no money for the old smoky cook-off, that's self-standing.
Mhm.
I'm just talking about using money,
Yeah.
possibly, checking in, using some of them funds for the children's activities.
I will look into that and get back to you. The unfortunate thing is we don't have very
Yes,
many
correct,
meetings
correct.
before we have the event.
Uh,
So whatever generous donation you guys would give towards the event, it's up
I
to you.
still make that motion of
Are you good with that?
matching the EDC 5,000.
And you kept talking, so I want a second. You said that to be good,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so all in favor of,
Aye.
okay, one question though. Now, this is where y'all come in and advise. With this money, we're gonna match it. We're pretty much agreed with that. Would that come out of our $30,000 budget or would that come out of our discretionary fund?
I would assume that it comes out of the 30, but I'd have to double check.
30,000.
Okay,
Yeah, usually something like this would come out of the 30.
okay,
Right.
sounds good.
So I will get back to you. And if at another meeting, we'll show you, hey, look, at the next meeting, we should have everything pretty much finalized.
Yes.
We could say, look, here's what we can do for the 20.
Yeah,
Essentially, if we have the 10, the 5, and the 5, assuming we have the 10 that we talked about previously, here's what we can put for 20. If you add another 5, you can add this, this, and this. If not, then we'll leave it at this for year 1 and we go from there.
okay.
This is what we got. Here's what we're gonna do, and then we can make the final
My
announcement following
motion
that.
is for the money to come out of the 30,000.
30,000.
The 25,000
Yeah, I
discretionary
got
for
you,
the
yeah.
kids'
Yeah.
activities and all that, that's,
Yeah.
he's got to clarify some things first, so.
So he's motion,
You
she
got your
second,
5.
all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed? So it passed.
Thank you.
Before we move on to next part meeting, Alana's popped in. Are you wishing to say something?
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I know I got in a little late. I was trying to get in and had to message someone so that I could get in here. So, first of all, hi Parks Board. I'm kind of popping in as chair of KLMBC, and I noticed that there were a couple things on y'all's agenda, and I thought that they directly kind of could work with us as well. And I know that sometimes we need all the help that we can get, and building the bonds between our commissions and our boards can be a really important thing for this community, because it allows us to stretch our funds and it allows us to do more things for the children. And I believe I caught most of I believe Kids Fish, that you guys were wanting to put on Kids Fish again.
No. It's on this 4th of July event. It'll be nothing like Tink did. It's gonna be like the BioFest, where it's a free kids fish. Kids bring their own equipment.
Okay,
And
okay,
so,
cool.
again, because it's an event, so we'll never do nothing like his and spend that kind of money for that type.
That
of
was a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of friends
Yeah,
with
it was.
sponsors, I know.
The Bayou Fest fishing thing has been at least 15 years going. There's never been an incident with anybody, so no need to do background checks. It's run real well, having over 200 kids a year.
Yes,
So
it
we're
sure
just,
is.
Piggyback, a lot of the stuff with this 4th of July is kind of piggybacking off with it's done at the BioFest, just on
I gotcha.
like a smaller scale.
I gotcha. Cause we were
really good
typically,
fun.
when we started, when I kicked off Beautify the Bayou, which, you know, we're doing this weekend out at Highland Bayou Park, that was typically done in preparation for Kids Fish.
Correct.
And, first of all, if you guys are going to put on a 4th of July event, I would love to bring it to my board to do another Bayou cleanup to help get that ready for that event, if that's gonna be an annual thing. I think it's really important, and that's our job, is to clean up. So I think that would be awesome, and we'd be happy to do that. And also when it comes to, I know I heard something about matching funds and stuff, but as far as kids events and activities, I know that our board has, I'm sorry, our commission has budgetary, like discretionary in the budgets to do educational events and activities for children. So if we needed some fill-in activities there, we'd be more than happy to, you know, bounce back and forth with you guys and see if we can't fill in a couple booths and have some fun stuff for the kids to do. Earth stuff can be really cool too. That's just I just wanted to bring that to you guys. Because I've always wanted to make sure that all of our boards and commissions have a relationship between each other. We all work in the same city. We're all working towards the same goal, and I think it's super important. So if that's something you guys are interested in, I'd love to do another cleanup before that. I love the Beautify the Bayou. It's my favorite one. So putting on another one would be a dream for us.
She loves playing in the water.
I do. I cut my feet up really bad last time, so that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but I do love getting in the water.
So
But as far as like kids events and stuff like that and booths and stuff, we got a ton of stuff on the back burner for something like this and for Bayou Fest as well, because we prep for Bayou Fest too.
well, moving forward, as far as you're talking about partnerships with the board and stuff, me personally feel kind of slighted that this is the 3rd year in a row you've done this cleanup at a parks facility and haven't included the parks board.
Well, I don't mean to slight anyone. We don't mean to slight anyone. We started it at the behest of Tink.
Correct.
And so now that Tink is not here, we've obviously continued the Bayou cleanup because it's been on the calendar, but I've talked to Tamara quite a bit too, and that's why I'm saying we definitely need that connection. And so this is me extending the olive branch to another board in the city, saying that we need, I would love to make sure that we work more closely with you guys, because you are an important board in the city. The parks are a big deal, and those are your babies.
Ms. Brown, I think what the Parks Board is trying to say is they want to come out and play with you out there. So any invite and opportunity for that. But I also want to echo on as part of the 4th of July event that we're trying to put on, knowing that you're able and willing to participate both as a part of the event and in some type of fashion. Maybe it's educating folks on being environmentally friendly, or a recycling fair that we do as part of that event, whatever else we'd like to do. I'm fully on board on that aspect of it. In addition to, I hate to sound like a salesperson, but if there's any monetary donations you would like to contribute to making the event bigger and better, I will certainly accept that whenever you want to take that to your board at the next time.
Absolutely. We have budgetary funds, and I can bring it to my commission as well. I would love to work with all of you for sure. I haven't known most of you until recently, except Tamara, really. And I've just been a little hyper driven trying to get KLMB where it is, and it's a pretty decently well-oiled machine, or it has been, and we're getting back on track. But But it's always been, and it still is really important that now that things are running smoothly, that we put it as a top priority to work with all of our boards and commissions, and we work together where we can to support each other and do all of these things. So if we can help with money, if we can help with food, if we can help with anything, like Caesar said, recycling fair, we would love to do that. Anything that we can do to show our support for both you guys and the parks themselves, because we love that park. That's my favorite thing to clean. It's gorgeous out there. So that's why I wanted to pop on here, and because things got a little interesting with my board recently, and I'm back, and so now we've sort of switched back into high gear, and I wanted to come into your meeting and thank you for letting me speak and just extend that, like I said, olive branch, and I hope that you'll receive it well and take my apology. I did not mean to make anyone feel slighted at all. That's never my intention. I want nothing more than for us all to work together, because if we can all work together, then all these events in the city are going to be amazing. I mean, they're already amazing, but if all of us come together, that stuff gets amped up 1,000 times.
Well, I agree with you, Aliana. I appreciate you jumping in to share that with us. And one of the things that we're going to be putting on our event is to try to do our park cleanups, picking up litter out of the park on the same day that the city usually does their recycle day, so we can all be like on the same schedule.
Okay.
So we may not be at Highland, we'll probably be at the other neighborhood and niche parks picking up litter there. But it'll be on the same day as when the city is doing cleanups and so on and so forth.
That's awesome. Is there a schedule, or is there going to be a schedule for that?
Well,
Kind of like
we're gonna find out what days the city does their cleanups and try to put our dates on those as well.
That's coordinated.
Cool. I'd love to be able to come out and help.
She does.
I like picking up trash. It's fun for me.
So.
Thank you.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
We're all.
So do you have anything?
No,
Okay.
sir, just wanted to let you know, you'll see the Juneteenth and the 4th of July, save the dates will be posted also hopefully by this evening.
Okay.
So you'll get some more information on that here pretty soon. Thank you.
Alana,
Thank you.
again, this 4th of July event, we're kind of mirroring off the Bible Fest. So
Mhm.
again, it's kind of slow getting this new event together, but and they're just now going to put out literature about it to let the public know. But just like the Bible Fest, all the boards and commissions within the city are invited to set up a booth. Like
Yeah.
y'all done, Garden Club. So save that date. It's July 2nd, as far as at the very minimum, do what y'all do about having y'all a little booth out there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I know events are kind of slow turning to get going, but I think that you guys are super onto something, and that's going to be an awesome event. It really is. It sounds like it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Okay. Cool. All right. We're
Wrap it up, Pete.
this thank you, Lana. This time where we pass the buck.
Mike?
You have any comments, Mike?
The only thing, well, two things I want to comment on is one, thank you, Amanda and Denisha, for all of y'all's hard work, and Roy and the new gentleman, Daniel. I want to make sure we get them the stuff they need. So as a parks board, that's where we need to step up our game and make sure that we put the right stuff in the right place to help them two gentlemen with their jobs. Whatever that may be, if it's money, if it's getting materials, equipment, whatever that may be. And then the other thing is, like Ms. Brown said, we need to be working with all the boards. And all the boards need to understand, and I think I can say this with some confidence. We're here to work with everybody. There is no animosity or anything like that toward
It's too
anybody.
much that
So
everybody can do.
if somebody thinks that, then they don't know us. So that's what I've got to say, Mr. Mark.
Ms. Franklin?
I just want to thank Amanda and Denisha and everybody, Joe and Ms. Brown. I just want to thank everybody for what they're doing and wish everybody good health. That's it.
I love everybody. That's all I got.
Losing my boy.
Well, I want to thank the city manager for coming in and sharing the information that he shared with us, so we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'd also like to thank Joe for being here, and it's not an action, okay.
Three things.
I was just been getting.
First, once again, thanks. I liked our meeting last better when we had it at the boardroom, by the way. Just a comment. There was more interaction than this formal setting. If we could clarify postings in the Galveston Daily News, you can mention that. The paper has consistently said this meeting is at 6:30 PM. And it's those little things that I get the calls on, and people say, what are you hiding? Okay, what are you
So
hiding?
I
And
think that
they
would
will.
be Kiara, Adam. Here's an example. Look there.
It's the one that posted in the
Part of
Galveston
public
Daily
announcement.
News.
We'll get with Sharon and have that straightened out. She's the one that does the posting, so.
That's what he's
we'll get
referring
her
to.
more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Number two, we have a resource here in the city of Lamarck that I've been out there working. It's part of the master gardening program. I'm getting a little bit. They have a junior master gardening, but that's the Texas A&M AgriLife over at Carbide Park. But part of their program is urban parks to combat obesity. That attracted my attention because anything that I can do to help my way is something important. And there are great ideas in here in terms of getting seniors together in terms of a better utilization of our parks. Want to give this to you, Mike. And then the last thing we constantly talk about is how to save our wonderful Lake Lamarck over at McGaffey Highland Park. And there's some great resources about best plants and trees to grow to reduce erosion around these areas. And one of them is a very simple one, which is our Texas willow trees. And they have a root structure that I'm reading is very, very helpful to maintain our shoreline around there. So I'm going to give those to you.
All right, appreciate it.
And keep up. Call me when you need.
Okay.
I'll
And,
take
uh,
that.
What?
I'll
Venetia, if you would make a note, would you please put Joe on any? Since he is our de facto guy, like when you send out those emails with the
Anything, just make
board
sure he's
agendas and
included.
stuff, he's excluded. Would you please add him to that email? Yeah. I didn't
Do
know,
what you're
I mean,
already
if you sent him a separate email,
Mr. Joe,
I'm just going by the one I saw.
You leaving?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna talk to you about this.
all right, so
Amy,
our next discussion is obviously the next meeting would be
June
June
16th.
16.
That's it.
Somebody nominate,
I make a motion that our next schedule,
June, so I thought it was June the 26th.
oh,
No, it's the 16th.
oh.
Okay.
The 26th, we're gonna do something else, Mr. Hunter.
Well,
Yeah. 1,
No,
2,
it's the
3,
28th.
It's the 19th.
now
we're
gonna
doing
make-
something on June 28th.
Now, wait a minute now. We're supposed to come in at 4 o'clock.
That's the 16th.
That's on the 16th. We're gonna come in on the 16th.
Come in 2 hours before our regular board.
Yes.
meeting.
Yes, sir.
And that's on the 16th.
Okay, I had the 26th. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, all right.
I'd have been 2 weeks late.
Well, on the 26th, we're gonna do something else,
So,
whatever that may be.
all right, let's do it again. So,
Mr. Herbert made a motion
and.
and I second.
All in favor?
Ah,
All opposed? All right, so we get down to the last thing, about requests and announcements, and part of that is like reimbursements, asking for reimbursement for, I don't know what it was, $32 for supplies when we were painting the signs. And, like to get that approved so the city can reimburse.
I
me.
make a motion, you get reimbursed.
Do.
for-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so with that being said,
Meetings.
anybody else have anything to say? This meeting's adjourned.
It's adjourned dinner time.
I agree with Mr. Joe.
Good meeting.
I liked it in the other room.